Good day. How are you? Have you eaten yet? 吃了吗? You might be wondering why I'm asking you that. In China, actually, that is how we greet each other. Have you had morning tea? My name is Chen. I'm founding partner of PCW Law in Auckland with international team, including, for example, our associate, a former judge in China. I grew up and obtained a law degree in China and practiced a couple of years. And then I came to New Zealand, graduated a master in laws from Victoria University of Wellington. Back to morning tea. In China, the answer, even you haven't had it, probably the answer usually it is yes. So you can see that even just saying hello is different in China from New Zealand. Okay, so this is my team. They look quite different from me, and probably because most of them were made in New Zealand. We all went to China as a team building trip during the Christmas time. But when we got there, they asked me if I had been lying to them. The person who took us to have a dinner is your brother, and the hotel owner is your sister. You told us you were an only child. In China, actually, everyone calls each other brother, sister, uncle, auntie, cousin. The TV lawyers in my team were very confused. You can see from this that is personal relationship actually is very important. You have heard that to do business in China, you must develop relationship, 关系 first, with the people you're doing business with. This is absolutely true. People call me sister or auntie because we have taken the time to get to know each other, eat together, drink together, and develop trust. You can tell my size probably that is true. We eat a lot. If you want to do business in China, you have to go there. You may need to do that several times before you establish a foothold from which you can really develop your business. China is a big market with bigger risk. If you struggle in a small market, a huge market will be very challenging. But with the right assistance, you'll be confident that China offers a big risk, but bigger rewards. I'll give you an example how you can get into trouble. One of my lawyers told me that the Chinese clients are the friendliest he has ever met. During the lawyer and client's interview, whatever he asked for, the answer is always yeah with smile. But eventually you found yes actually means no. So you need to understand that the law of contract in China and the way Chinese approach contracts is very different from what we do in New Zealand. In New Zealand, we won't normally have draft agreements. If you sign something, you are bound by it. In China, the first thing you sign is often treated as preliminary, or a draft are not binding. If you don't follow up with a formal agreement, it isn't treated as a binding agreement. It is very important to clarify when you do business with Chinese people whether the document you are preparing is preliminary or final one. Many foreigners doing business in China and many Chinese doing business in New Zealand rely on free advice from your neighbors, friends, aunties. My advice is, please don't do this, because the free advice will become the most expensive advice in the end. So take competent legal advice before saying anything, and just because you're doing business with a trusted friend is not a reason to ignore this rule. Most of the business disputes we deal with for years involve people who were friends before, they were business partners, and who end up eventually as enemies. In fact, it can sometimes be advisable to take a Chinese approach and have something like a non-binding piece of agreement setting out general terms. Actually, just as Randish mentioned, it is very important to do due diligence on your prospective business partner before you commit to a final deal. Due diligence should also include whether you are proposing to do is legal in China. Remember, China is quite heavily regulated, and there can be some very substantial penalties if you break the law. Many Chinese are criticized in New Zealand for sending something they don't fully understand. But Kiwis do the same with Chinese deals. If the deal is done in New Zealand, you can go to see your lawyer. If it is being done in China, come to see us. Let us find our associated lawyers in China with the expertise you need. A Kiwi doing business in China needs bilingual, bilegal, bicultural support. When I talk about culture, I mean cultures. China is huge, both in area and by population. For example, the way business is done in parts of the north will be completely different from how it is done in another part of the country. In China, if you go to a notary to get documents verified, a garden variety lawyers probably won't do that for you. So it is usually expected that a New Zealand notary like us will verify documents for use in China. We provide notary public services as long as you make an appointment. We can usually do it immediately. In China, notary services actually based on the value of the property, which is the subject of the agreement. For example, if you want to get a title of 2 million property notarized, you might pay RMB 200,000 in fees. However, in New Zealand, come to see us. We can notarize your documents for around 200 New Zealand dollars. So now I'm going to talk about intellectual property law. So my advice actually for intellectual property law is that you file your application ASAP for both trademark or copyright. China has the first to file trademark system. This means that you have no right to your trademark in China until you register it. If someone else registers your trademark, they can sue you for infringements. It doesn't matter, you have already been using your brands for many, many years. So I have been given 5 minutes to do my presentation. By now, I probably have used them all. But I would like to draw your attention to some key points when you file your trademark. So when you file your trademark, you should probably include your English name, including your English name, Chinese character name, Chinese pinyin name, and any logos you use. Carefully select the product categories, even including the subcategories. Check if similar trademarks have been filed by your competitors or even infringers. Check all categories, even those outside your company's core products or services. This is very important when you apply for that. So copyright. Actually, copyright registration is not required. However, always remember, registration provides a public record, can serve as supporting evidence if there are any copyright disputes in the future. Okay, by now, although you would no doubt follow all of my advice I have just given you, sometimes things go wrong and disputes arise. If that happens, don't forget us. We can help. We are a one-stop law firm with expert lawyers from 15 to 30 years experience. We provide legal update actually through WeChat or other multimedia. So I just try to find a page with our QR code. You can scan us. You won't be regretted. because we not only provide legal advice, we also tell you the best place to eat in China and New Zealand. Thank you for your time.